my name's Kat Moonchild. I'm a psychic, I'm a medium, and I'm also a Reiki master and a shaman in training. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you have any videos or any subject matter that you'd like to discuss. But for now, let's just actually jump right into it. Today's subject is one of the most discussed subjects, one of the most important subjects, which is how do I protect myself as an empath and how do I take care of myself as an empath. So this is actually, I guess I could have split this into two videos, but I'm gonna see if I can try to fit it all into one. If I find that I can't, I'll make a second video, but let's just see how it goes for now. I did actually take notes because this is such an extensive subject. So first, let's discuss what is an empath. An empath is a psychic that collects and gathers emotional information. There's actually various different types of empaths. There's the physical empath, there is the emotional empath, there is the environmental empath, there is the plant empath, animal empath, there is empaths that mirror, there are dark empaths. That's a new coined term that has just recently come to light. There's more information about that on the web for all these different kind of empaths that are available, but for today, we're going to really focus on primarily the combination of the emotional and the physical empath. There's also some very significant differences to the empath medium, that they have their own special set of struggles that I have seen. If anybody's interested in seeing a video on the empath medium and how to work with being an empath medium, please again leave a comment down below. Other than that, we're just going to focus on empaths for today. So how exactly does an empath work? Now first, let's talk about that emotional physical information. What do I mean by gathering emotional and physical information? Please understand that when a psychic pulls in anything or reads anything, it's all energetic information that they will find in a person's soul or in a person's aura. Most psychics connect with a person's aura. For those of you that don't know, the aura is the mental body. Energetically, we have several different bodies, but again, that's for a different time. So empaths really work with the emotional, mental body, the aura, and the emotional body energetically. So what's happening is that the empath senses or feels inside somebody else's aura their information. The proper way that empathy is supposed to work is that you feel something emotionally or physically that should not last longer than 2 minutes tops. It comes in, it filters through, and it leaves. So for example, why would that be useful? So if I'm a healer, if I'm doing an energy healing, which is one of the areas that I use empathy a lot in, I do use empathy a lot in readings, but healing is a lot easier to describe. If I'm doing a healing on somebody and I feel grief in my heart, I feel their grief. I feel it, it comes into me, I know what's wrong psychically, it leaves my system, I no longer feel grief. That is how it should be. I physically feel a pain in my elbow, for example. I know they have a physical pain. I will ask to confirm if this is true. The answer will be yes or no. Of course, normally the answer is yes, I do have a physical pain there. I know where I need to focus my energy healing on. I know what I need to do. That pain in my elbow leaves. That is how it's supposed to work. What most people experience is it comes in and it just stays. It doesn't go anywhere. And people are like, I am suffering as an empath. Somebody please help me. This is the problem. If something comes in, they feel it, they experience it, they don't know what to do with it, they don't know why it's there, they don't know what they're experiencing, they don't know why they're experiencing it, they don't know what to do with it. So, you know, like I said, I took notes. Let me kind of hit that. We're connecting with the emotional energy. Emotion is energy. Motion, energy in motion. We're experiencing emotional energy, physical energy that has a connection to emotional energy coming in to let us know what that person needs help healing with. Help, aid, healing with. that's going to be a very important word. That's going to be something that's going to be largely discussed today. Help. So that is what an empath is. That's what an empath does. That is something that helps people understand what its function, its intended purpose is for. Now, what a lot of people find is that as an empath, they sink down into the struggle that they're experiencing. So what are the struggles that you'll encounter as an empath? I don't know what's mine is a big question. I'll feel something, I don't even know where it came from. I have a story of this. I was walking in Walmart once. I was walking in the store once, and I was just walking by a gentleman, doing my shopping, not paying attention. I wasn't even in a professional setting, and all of a sudden I crumple to the ground because I have this overwhelming pain in my ankle that came from nowhere. And I'm grabbing my ankle, and I turn around and I look, and there's a gentleman not standing 10 feet from me, staring at his ankle in awe, because it had apparently stopped hurting him. And he hit his foot on the ground a couple times and had the biggest smile on his face and walked off. So what happened there? I took it from him. That became mine. So one of the things I realized as I was experiencing all the struggles as an empath, where I was an extremely bad physical empath. I was pulling in everyone's pain, physically and emotionally, and I was just having this existential crisis with it. I was like, what are my feelings? What is my pain? What is it got to such a state that I just was really, really struggling. And I didn't know what to do with it. And I realized there were several different components that were affecting what I was drawing in. And I'm going to list them honestly. The first one was mental imbalance, where I was in a deeper state of mental unwellness or emotional unwellness, and I was not doing well. I may have been experiencing, and I was experiencing guilt. I was experiencing low self-esteem, self-blame, and various different emotions, where I felt like things were my fault. I was responsible for things. And the more I felt that way, the worse my empathy got. And I actually realized that one of the biggest things that was creating me holding on to those emotions was personal responsibility and accountability. And not just personal, but accountability for other. So, for example, I had to realize it wasn't my job to heal the world. When I realized that I was taking personal responsibility over another person's healing journey, and I was making it my job to heal them, which is impossible because we all know free will. It is an individual's free will to heal themselves, to help themselves, and anything of that nature. We cannot do it for them. I was taking it on. I couldn't release it. That was creating a big problem. So that's why I couldn't let it just flow in and flow out. I couldn't let it just pass through my being because I had a personal attachment to it. I still experience personal attachment to certain people's pain. So if somebody has a wound inside of them that I deeply connect with, I have a similar wound or I have a similar experience that I am still healing in myself, I can pull that pain in and carry it inside of me because that space within me is not healed and I have a personal attachment to their pain. We want to approach people's pain with compassion, not empathy. The perspective of the approach should not be an empathetic approach. It should be a compassionate approach. It's not my job to take it from you. Empathy as a psychic ability is very useful. The attitude of the empath is to make it their own. And that is what we really want to work on. Personal boundary, personal accountability, personal responsibility, who is responsible for what we can control, what we can do, and what we need to let go of. That can be quite the journey, but recognizing how those thoughts affect our empathetic connection can make a huge difference and can start leading us to creating those healthy energetic boundaries. So that's the big thing. Now, that can take quite a while. So let's say, for example, you've been experiencing pulling in all these emotions for such a long time. What happens? You have all this information in your own aura. You may have family members, especially with family members, what I was explaining previously, personal accountability, personal responsibility. It can be very hard to create those boundaries. So a lot of times empaths come across very toxic relationships because they feel very deeply for an individual that has a lot of pain, and they want to do something to help them. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to help someone. But again, we have to remember, help. That's why I said that word is so important. Help someone. Are they willing to help themselves? That's a very difficult question we have to ask ourselves as empaths. So where we will struggle is having those toxic relationships. We will struggle with a lot of buildup energetically from what we've pulled in, where we feel confused and heavy. It can contribute to mental imbalances. And like I said, a lot of empaths do struggle with mental imbalances or diagnose mental illness, and that's something that has to be done by a professional. So I can't say every empath has that. That's not something I can say for you. I can say it is common. I can say that it happens a lot, but that's something that we have to allow a professional to diagnose us with. And there's no shame in that. There is no shame in marrying a professional standpoint with a spiritual standpoint. So keep that in mind when you're dealing with this. And those people can help us navigate those toxic relationships, or those people that are drawing a lot out of us and draining us a lot. So if you're feeling extremely out of balance as an empath, and you're feeling very overwhelmed as an empath, especially psychically, those are things you may want to consider. Now, when we're looking at it, and again, struggle, what is mine? And there's an affirmation you can say, and these are things you're going to have to repeatedly do. So the things I'm going to suggest to you to do is not a one and done. This is going to be doing them over and over and over. This has got to become very habitual until we come to a place of emotional, spiritual, and mental wellness. We have to do this all the time, all the time, all the time to create that energetic barrier or boundary. So first and foremost, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours. There's an affirmation you can say, and it is, I release what is not mine to have into the light for healing and transmutation. I send it out. I send it, this affirmation sends it away, what is not mine to carry. I give myself permission to release what is not mine to have, and send it into the light with love for healing and transmutation. And this is giving it to the divine to work with. And then it's not your burden to carry. So if you're not sure what's yours, and you may be asking, how can that happen? Okay, for me, there'd be times I was in a very good mood, and then all of a sudden it would just flip. And that, again, can be a product for some people of mental imbalances. And I, through time, through a lot of experience, through going through several different healing avenues, professionally and spiritually, I realized that this was a product of spiritual circumstances, psychic circumstances, but that was something that I took every avenue to make sure that that's what it was. I don't assume all the time, but I can see correlation, and a lot of things psychic information wise is correlation. You have to see commonality. I I can be fine for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then all of a sudden I flip and I'm angry. I'm angry for no reason. There's nothing that happened, there's nothing that occurred, or I'm upset, or I'm sad, or I'm anxious. And I started seeing correlations. So at times I would get anxious and there would be a major event the next day or the next few days, and then the anxiousness would go away. That was an empathetic reaction psychically to an event. Or I would feel mad and I would find out hours or days later someone was very angry at me when I just got this sudden feeling of anger. And I would get a feeling of heat on the back of my neck, which was my sign somebody was mad at me. Or I would feel stinging on my cheek if somebody was disrespecting me, as though I'd been slapped. These are just examples of the way that my physical empathy and my emotional empathy would come into play. And that's, again, through experience, through time. When these things were first happening, especially as a teenager, I was very confused. I didn't know what was going on. So I had to learn through observation, through paying attention, through listening, through understanding, through objectivity. Okay, did something happen to make me mad? Did something happen to make me anxious? Did something happen to make me upset? I can't think of anything that happened today that made my feelings just change all of a sudden that drastically. So that's one of the things I first learned. So don't forget that affirmation. That affirmation is very helpful, and remember, keep repeating the affirmation. Another thing you can do, this is a very common method, is see yourself surrounded in white light. You can do chakra clearings. You can find guided chakra balancing on YouTube for guided meditations. You can see each of the chakra colors. You can do a quick visualization technique where you see each of them as the strong color, as a ball of light, just flowing through your system, and then you can see white light surrounding you. That's something you can do to help keep your aura clean. You can sage yourself on the regular. That's something else you can do to keep your energetic field clear, because remember, you're carrying all that information in your aura, so you're going to want to constantly do auric cleanses. You can use stones, especially black stones like black tourmaline, obsidian, jet, Apache's tear. These are all very helpful for protecting empaths. I also really like stones like selenite, cleansing stones, blue kyanite. I like to pair root chakra stone with a crown chakra stone, or a very high vibrational stone that will constantly keep clearing and cleansing. My favorite pairing is black tourmaline with selenite. I've grown to love gold sheen obsidian. I've grown to love silver sheen, but I find for protection right now I'm using gold sheen obsidian a lot. That's just my personal favorite right now, but in the past I had pretty constantly gone to black tourmaline. That was my go-to. So that's something else to keep in mind. So those are things you can do, things you can employ to help you as an empath to keep yourself cleansed. Now, if you do have a lot of toxic relationships that you have a hard time keeping personal attachment out of, or not taking things personally, which is of course going to be very difficult. It's a very big struggle when you have to constantly deal with a toxic connection, whether it be in work or in family or in a romantic relationship, where you're put under constant pressure by this relationship to not feel a way about it. So in that case, you're going to want to do cord cutting. And again, constantly cleanse, protect, stones, affirmations, cord cutting. My favorite cord cutting is a cord cutting with Archangel Michael. You can actually use your favorite search engine and look up cord cutting prayer with Archangel Michael. The prayer goes, I cut all cords in all directions of time, space, and in all dimensions, and all planes of existence of negativity. And you're going to visualize a flame blue sword and cut just see it cutting through black cords. And you're going to want to do it over and over. Some people are afraid of cord cutting because they're like, well, what if I cut cords to somebody that I really love? Are they going to leave me? No. What this is, what a cord does, and there's actually a video on cord cutting that you may want to go back and watch if you're interested in this. This goes more in depth into it, but that cord, that native cord between you and the other individual is just exchanging information. So especially when you're really emotionally close to someone, you may find if they're mad, you feel it. Or if you're anxious, they feel it. And especially in a situation where they're mad and you're mad, it can heighten the situation, especially if you have that negative cord, and it can just escalate the issue further and further and further. So what the cord cutting does is cut off that emotional information so it's not ping-ponging in between two individuals. Can a cord cutting lead to somebody leaving your life? It can. Is it the most common? No, but it can. I'm not going to say it won't, but most of the time, if someone's going to leave, that's a very toxic connection. So that's something you want to keep in mind, is that somebody you want to keep if the cord cutting is making them leave. If all that's keeping them there is that negative, toxic connection, or that negativity, that negative cord is the only thing keeping them there. Because remember that prayer is only about cutting the negative connections. So that's something else you can do to help keep yourself in balance. Another thing you might want to do is you're going to want to stay away from things, especially if this is for those that are feeling overwhelmed as an empath, especially. Stay away from things that make you feel negative, all right? If you're a social media junkie, you might want to take a step back. Spend more time in nature. Go outside. You need nature. You need sunshine. You need grounding. See roots coming from your feet standing barefoot outside. Or just do a quick visualization meditation where you see yourself as a tree rooting into the earth, pulling up the earth energy into your being. These are things that will help keep you grounded as an empath. That's why you want to work with those root chakra stones. That's why you want to work with those crown chakra stones. The lower chakra system for the empath is something that is crucially important to keep in good health. So many people focus on the third eye and the upper chakras, which is still important. Don't get me wrong, but when you're feeling overwhelmed or overwrought as an empath, your lower chakra system is really where it's at. You really want to be focusing on that root, that sacral, that solar plexus, and that heart chakra. Those are going to be your importance. And if you're having a hard time speaking, if that's really blocked, communicating, you don't want to focus on the throat. So keep that in mind. So those are things you can do to help yourself as an empath. Those are things you can do to help yourself stay in balance, stay grounded. Remember not to take it personal. Remember to work on the mentality that you have to do something to fix it. Because the idea you have to fix it is what keeps things stuck inside of our energy, which is why we want to come from a compassionate standpoint. I have compassion for you. I feel loving compassion for you, but it's not mine. That is yours. That is their karma. And that's something else you want to think of. If you're pulling in these emotions, you may be taking away their power to be able to learn a karmic lesson, okay? We fight, we struggle, we do it to succeed. But when we're in the middle of a karmic lesson, sometimes it's hard and we're suffering, and the empath does not like to see that. But they're learning how to not suffer. They're learning how to take their own power back, to create a change for themselves, to build, to grow, and to heal. So keep that in mind. The other things we can do also as an empath is imagine mirrors, visualize mirrors up, reflecting energy out so that we're not drawing it in. And really, there's so many techniques for the empath to help protect themselves. You can take herb baths, purifying baths. You can even just use Epsom salt and take weekly Epsom salt baths to cleanse yourself. I believe it was 3 cups per bath is a good one, but you don't have to use that much if you don't want to. 1 cup is just plenty. You can use essential oils, you can use herbs, you can use lavender. Lavender is great energetically for raising the vibration. You just want to keep that up. But again, keep healthy. If you're having trouble as an empath, if you're struggling, stay away from things that bring you down. Watch a comedy, watch something funny, do some inner child work, play, laugh, have fun, connect with people that bring you up, that inspire you. And remember, it's not your job to save the world. It's not your job to take care of everyone. You have to take care of you first. An empath is here to help understand others that are struggling, to guide them through their dark night of the soul. They're here to help bring a light, to show people the way forward and the way out through guidance and holding their hand, not carrying them and not doing it for them. You're here as an empath to help heal. But remember, healer, heal thyself first. You cannot heal anyone if you cannot do you first. Remember, you're your first priority. I hope this was not only informational, but helpful. If there's more you want to know about empathy or any particular kind of empath, please feel free to leave a comment down below. I'd be happy to make a follow-up video because there's so much we can talk about this particular subject. I'm happy I was able to keep it well-rounded, and I was actually able to get mostly everything I wanted to talk out in this video, so wonderful. I love you guys, as always. You guys are an inspiration. You keep me going. You keep me up. I feel so good to be able to connect with you all, and of course, you know I love you. So namaste, till next time. I'll catch you on the flip side.